Hey, how's it going? Mike Marin here. And in this training, what I want to do is I want to show you how I'm able to go out and personally pre-sell lead gens for $3,000 to $5,000 per month and get paid upfront before doing any of the quote unquote work, any of the website build out or anything like that. So this is a really, really simple process that I use to scale my agency up to the 7-figure level. It's designed to turn total strangers that don't know who you are and send them a cold message, and within 72 hours, run them through a sales process and turn them into a high paying recurring lead gen client, and do it all without cold calling, spending a dime on paid ads, being a quote unquote expert in the niche, or even having any other quote unquote standard social proof. So rather than just give you a bunch of theory and a bunch of PowerPoints, what I wanted to actually do is something that I wanted when I was first starting out, which is just give me the example, show me exactly how it's done. So that's what I did in this training. You get to see the exact niche that I picked, the blue ocean niche, the exact email that I sent out, the education-based marketing video, everything, including there's about, I think it's about 45 minutes to an hour worth of live recorded sales calls. So I do a 2-part close. So that's all there. The first call, which is about 15 minutes, is the audit call. And the second is the planning call, where you could see I run him through a sales process. And then it ends with him paying $3,000 per month upfront for a lead gen that I'm going to build for him. So this is done in case study format. Again, this was in a brand new niche where I brought in $60,450 in 77 days. So, everything A to Z, nothing held back. And I think part of the reason why inside the groups that I'm training, they're getting such great results is because of the level of belief. I know that when I started to see it done, hear the sales calls, the level of belief of landing a high paying client goes up so high. So that's what you get to experience in this. There's absolutely nothing for sale. This is a pure training. Dan and I did this training over the course of 3 Facebook Lives. But what I've done here is I've edited it down. I've taken out the fluff, taken out the questions, and we actually did it out of order. So I put it in order, edited it down, and that way you could go through it much faster, get all the value out of it. So that said, let's go to the computer screen and let's start to go through this training.
So what we decided to do was start with kind of the process from A to Z. So that way you guys could see how Mike not only lands clients, because we got this call we're going to play for you guys. We're going to skip through it, kind of critique it, kind of show you some of the things. Then we're going to move into kind of the steps of its process, so you can kind of take notes on that. Also, we wanted this video to be something you guys could, refer back to for future. And then on Tuesday, we're going to do the second part of it, which Mike will go more into some of the nitty gritty of the second half of what you'll see today, and then we'll be good to go. I think it'll be good exercise. The thing I like about this, for everyone who's tuning in, whether you're brand new or you've been in this for a while, is for those of you guys that have been around, you guys know that I don't teach paid traffic. Mike, for those of you guys that have been around, know Mike Marin has been a good friend of mine for a long time. Also, Mike is connected with basically every top internet marketer that's ever existed since the internet's began, I think. I don't know how he's done it, but somehow, some way, he's been able to align himself with all these different marketers. And so a lot of the stuff that you're going to see in today's presentation comes from a culmination of a lot of the top marketers in the world that Mike has done masterminds with, hung out with, there's too many to name, but like from the sales process that you're going to listen to here, him closing this deal. But we wanted you guys to kind of understand this from A to Z, and we wanted you guys to be able to walk away with something actionable from this. If you kind of want to dip your toe into the paid traffic side of local lead gen, because there's multiple facets to local lead gen. We teach the organic side, which has something where we're building an asset up, and it's something that we can then take and sell in the future, which has a lot of benefits, has a lot of value to it. But there's also a value to speed. I always say money loves speed. And I think, kind of taking the training that you guys are getting inside JK with building these long-term assets that can bring you in money for years and years to come, and melding it with some of the strategies Mike's going to teach you today and on Tuesday, can only, put more, bullets in the chamber, if you will. And so we're going to jump in. Mike, I think you want to start with the video or the audio version of this call. This is a sales call, but I thought what we could do was, I guess we can get to that. You want to get to that after we show them?
Yeah, what I wanted to do is show them the entire process, right? So it's like they don't starting from scratch, right? You don't have any niche pick. You don't have a list. You don't have money to spend on advertising. How do you go out and how do you go about landing a client? That's exactly what I did in this actual case study, which is, well, number one, and I don't know if you have the slides there. If not, it does not matter at all. But number one is it's doing exactly. So that's a case study, right? 60,450 in 77 days. And this was without spending a dime on advertising to generate a client, without doing any cold call, in a brand new niche. I didn't have any proof. And really, this is so that you guys can model this. So this is my 7 steps to cold to sold. There's a past JK Live, which I've trained on that before. But it really is 7 steps. It's selecting what niche you're going to go after. It's then gathering your data, which is the email addresses, the phone numbers here where we did cold email. Then it's cleaning and verifying the cold email data. Then it's actually writing the message. Then it's getting it delivered. Then it's getting the appointments. And then it's closing, which is the part we've covered the least. But after last week's live, everyone loved the live phone call. So I figured, Dan actually was like, he's been asking me to do this. Let's take a look at those phone calls, because in my agency, I actually recorded pretty much every phone call that I ever did. And that's what we're going to take a look at, because that part of the process is very important for getting paid. And then on top of that, there's the service of what I delivered, which is very unique in its own right. And that's what actually we were supposed to train today, which we're going to move back to later, which is actually how do you really quickly set up lead generation campaigns in a niche that you don't know about, so that you can generate leads for them and they get their money's worth.
So this was I think what we wanted to do. I think this would be good too, because we can kind of give some context to how you got to this phone call. Because I think, there's kind of the two sides. So I think we should go through these like the visuals that we put together, the niche you chose, starting there, obviously. And if, obviously we go back to this plan here. If you guys, this is something you guys might want to take a screenshot of. He does have this in his training, which we won't probably be talking about until Tuesday, with kind of the, what's in it and all that good stuff. But if you wanted to just kind of take a screenshot of some of this stuff, go ahead and do that, because this is valuable, whether you are at the point where you want to tack on some of the strategies Mike's going to teach today, or you're just starting out, but you want to save some of this stuff. I can tell you from 2 guys that have been not only on a lot of our own presentations, but in the seat that you guys are in, listening to other marketers give out some of their nuggets. This is the type of stuff you want to be screenshotting and pulling back for maybe another day when you get to the point in your business where you start tacking on other skill sets. Now, if you're brand new, listen, we do these. We've been doing these calls and these live streams for going on 6.5 years. So you can imagine people that joined 6 years ago, they paid their dues. There's no ongoing fees to be in here. We like to continue to bring value to you guys and give you new ideas and new ways to market to clients. And so we try to bring, interesting ideas in here. And so, again, today I want to kind of, take this look at his 7 steps, and then we're going to kind of step you through, starting with the niche he ended up choosing. And that's not to say you want to choose this niche. Mike probably has some pointers on that, but this Mike burned it's a very small niche, and Mike went through this niche very quickly. So probably not the niche you want to get into, but he chose this niche, and you're going to hear by the end of this live stream, you're going to hear the call where you hear a customer who Mike, from start to finish, takes him from the beginning of the 7 steps of selecting and hunting your niche all the way to money in the bank. And that's where we think a lot of value will come, because you start to pick up and see the process that Mike went through. So Mike, take it from there, and I'll just follow along and open up your slides as you go.
Yeah, that's correct. So NeoGraft, I chose it. Number one, it's an obscure niche. So, right, the riches are in the obscure niches. It's what you guys have been trained on. This is an example of doing that. Now, it is a very small niche, and the reality is competition is a big factor. And after they've heard the same, like, I've trained this before, and then someone's copied it immediately, and it's not going to work, right? But just like you wouldn't copy Blockbuster Video, you don't want to do something someone else has done. But however, when I did this, no other marketer had really hit this niche the way that I hit it, the way that you're going to see me hit it, which is the reason why the money poured in immediately. So keep in mind the principles of what I did here so that you can apply them to your own niches. And that's really where the magic comes. It doesn't come from copying what other people have already done, right? You know, you don't want to copy the next. There's Warren Buffett has a great saying, which is first there's the innovators, then there's the imitators, and then there's the idiots, right? You don't want to be the idiots that are copying something that 100 other people have done. So that's the niche I chose. Next slide.
Yeah,
we interrupted here.
No, you're good.
It says live video interrupted. Broadcast has been paused, but we'll keep going. So essentially, what we did here is, now that I had the niche, very simple. Went on to Upwork, and I simply said, looking, I put this as a data mining job. I said, looking for someone to gather all the NeoGraft providers in the United States and create a spreadsheet with the following. So I basically asked someone to go to their website, and then essentially scrape all of the list. He got back to me exactly with the list of leads in Excel. We went back and forth, just making sure that I got the correct data. And then if you go to the next slide, you could see right there, I paid him $110. So that's step one. You have to have a target that you're going after. So again, I picked the niche, gathered the data. Now the next step is to clean the data, which I put it through online email verifier. It's the cheapest service. You could use Never Bounce. Run it through that, and it tells you what emails that you can mail to, what emails you can't mail to.
So let me back up, because we're going fast, and I want to make sure people are grasping this so they can get value. So kind of going back to your 7 steps here, you found your niche. Again, a niche that you probably wouldn't recommend people to go copy on this first one. And by the way, there's about 10,000 different niches out there, so don't think you need to. He's giving you some nuggets, and don't go after his stuff. If that's the right thing to do. So then you enriched your data. You gathered it first through, what was it? Through Upwork?
Upwork. Literally just went to Upwork. And you guys can do this for any niche. It doesn't have to be expensive. You just go there. And I gave them the website. It had enter in your zip code and find people in that zip code. And essentially what I did is I just said, hey, get me a list with all that stuff. And that's what they did. He came back to me. I interviewed a few people, and then I hadn't set milestones for the job. And then when I was happy, I said, it was $100. I paid him $110. I tipped him. So, and he's done subsequent work for me now as well. But essentially that's really all you need to do to get a list. Then after that, because we do want to get to the phone call, is now it's crafting the messaging, right? And that comes down to email copywriting, which if you guys want to know more about that, my cold to sold course covers that. But essentially I set up a very simple funnel, which was I always, and I've been talking about this the last few lives, I always want to do education-based marketing, and I always want to educate them. So in this particular case, I created a 13-minute video, which was a case study on which essentially said, here's how you generate 5 to 10 new NeoGraft patients each month like clockwork without relying on referrals or risky advertising campaigns that never seem to work, right? That was a hook. In that video, I explained exactly the problem that they were running up into when they work with other agencies, right? Or the problem that they can't seem to get enough patients. Then I said, here's the solution, which was essentially my system, which I then showed how it's unique, why it's different, and then basically positioning myself, why I'm different to all the other providers out there. At the end of that video, which again, that's something that I was going to scroll through, but we could do that another time.
Maybe I can keep going. I lost my screen, so just keep talking. You're good.
That's fine. But there's a 13-minute video. I'm more than willing to share it with you guys because this is part of the magic, which is they watch that video after the cold email, which I'm going to show you the exact cold email in a second. So they watch that video, they get educated, and the call to action is book onto my calendar. So I use Schedule Once. You could use Acuity, but it's basically a calendar system to me, which says, hey, I'm looking to work with one provider per area. If this is interested in you, spots are going quick. If you want to learn how we can implement this system into your business, book a time on my calendar. So now, although it's a cold email outreach, I'm only going to deal with the people that have gone through this education marketing, know why I'm different, and know why they should do business with me. So if you go to the next image up here.
Just grabbing it here. 1 second here. Boom. That's the one.
Here we go. So this is the email I wrote. Really simple, which is, hey, and then I had the custom columns from the list that he screwed up. I said, can you handle 5 to 10 additional NeoGraph patients each month? If yes, I think you'll like the video I made for you below, which was then just a thumbnail link to the actual video that was on that landing page, which you could build in snaps really quickly. And this is what the actual email looked like. So again, I teach this in the cold to sold cold emailing course, but once you have this, that is what I delivered out to them, right? So it's very simple. The video shows you how to generate 5 to 10 NeoGraph patients each month. Have a great day. Mike, P.S. This is not for everyone and will only be a fit for those who can handle this many new patients. If you think you can, then go and watch the video above and drop us up a link and ask us how we get your phone ringing off the hook in 3 days from now. Click here to watch the video. So you can see it's not the usual cold email of like, hey, give me a call. Let's jump on the phone with a salesperson. And I know that I was hanging out with Dan and Dan the man, and who's a brilliant marketer, Mr. Dan Klein. And you actually did the same thing when you were selling web design. So tell that story about the video that you put off the back end.
Yeah, same thing. Like, so essentially, as I was prospecting, and I was prospecting in, I think at this time it was Freelancer or Upwork. There's a lot of competition, and this was many years ago, but a lot of competition, generally people bidding. And I had this kid that worked for me, complete moron, by the way, but he worked for me, and he told me, hey, I can't get any traction on these platforms. No one will respond to my bid. Mike, I think you might be froze up a little bit. I'm not sure if you can hear me. There you go. Anywho, so he's like, can't get any traction. I've been doing it for 6 months, no luck. And I'm like, okay, loser, like freaking figure it out. Like, try something new. Stop just doing the same thing, or you're lying to me, because there's no one that can do 6 months of something and not get one client. So I did 1 day of it, and I landed, I think, 2 clients in the first day. And all I did differently, Mike, are you froze? Yeah, you're froze, bro. I'm good though, I believe. Yeah, there he goes. He'll be back. The only thing I did differently than he did. You're good, man. One thing I did differently than he did was I basically created a short little video like this, a screencast video. I made 1 or 2 slides in Google Drive, nothing fancy. Right. And then essentially I positioned myself, and I gave them a risk reversal type of play where they had no risk to do business with me. It's exactly what I teach with you guys is results in advance. Right. We say, hey, no risk to you. Try these leads out for free. I understood that getting my foot in the door with people that were looking to have a website built was probably a really good place to catch a potential client. So I wasn't necessarily worried about the price tag of what it was going to cost to get a website up. I was more interested in building a relationship with this person that is needing web help, and they're reaching out on these different networks in order to get it. So this is a really, listen, he's positioning, he's educating, and he's making, a basic offer of some sort, whether that's get on the phone, whether that's book an appointment, whether that's buy now, whatever the offer is, it is. But this strategy, and we're going to get you a copy of this video, by the way. We'll get you a copy. I think Mike has it put into his course that he'll release out next week that he's going to do on Tuesday. But it doesn't necessarily, you can take the general gist of what both of us are saying. You don't have to buy the course in order to do this. It's just a simple education play and positioning play. And it's different pretty much than anyone else will do who you're going to be competing with. Everyone is so copycat. Again, why we said don't copy the NeoGraph. Why? Because you're a copycat marketer to a certain extent. Use the strategy that Mike's training you today. Use the techniques that he's training you. Use the funnel that he's talking about, right? Of the 7 steps called sold. Use that stuff, but don't just go in there and rip off every little bit of it. Innovate upon that. Innovation codes. If you guys haven't been part of the Vegas event that we did last year, Seth Hummel did this incredible training from MIT about how innovation works. Innovation, it's something. I'm going to give you guys this real quick and we're going to keep moving. Seth talks about like, hey, you know, when we, what did they do? First thing they do, they subtracted the rotary, they added the buttons. So there's addition and subtraction when you want to innovate. So if we're looking at Mike's email, you know, or one of these things that he's put together, it might not be the exact same words. You might subtract some of the words. You might subtract the niche. You may add something different, some more pizzazz to the video. So innovation is not difficult when you understand these codes. And like I said, there's a whole section in the cheat codes bonus that I gave out of Vegas last year that Seth did that's incredible. It will really help you understand how to kind of be a better marketer by innovating on people like Mike who've got top tier information, and then you can add your sprinkle. You know, you could subtract something that doesn't vibe with your strategy. But these are how you can take the strategies you're getting today on this live and then add them into what you're doing. Okay.
And what I want to show you today in this real quick presentation is how to generate an extra 5 to 10 new NeoGraph patients each month like clockwork without relying on referrals or risky advertising campaigns that never seem to work. Now, I know you've probably heard claims like this before, but I want to show you how we're different to all the other companies out there, because when we generate you new patients, we do it in a way that is fully measurable and trackable down to the dollars and cents. That way, you'll be able to see the exact number of new patients we attract for you and exactly where they came from. Because here at Influence Digitally, we're all about results and ROI. We're not about likes, impressions, or how pretty or fancy your website is. We're all about real results, getting leads walking into the door with money in their hand saying, I want NeoGraph. And on top of that, everything we do is guaranteed, because when we work with you as a new partner, we guarantee our performance. We guarantee our results. We either generate you a specific number of highly targeted leads, or the work that we do is free. It is literally as simple as that. Now,
you want to talk about some of the techniques you're using here, because you're using a lot of the stuff from the proof elements to help people buy. I think it's important people know kind of what you're doing with your.
Yeah. So, I mean, essentially, again, it's a proof element. The fact that I've niched down so narrow, right? Everyone doesn't want to niche down. Big mistake. As Dan always teaches, the riches are in the obscure niches. So the technique that I'm going for here is essentially, I've done my research. I kind of know the average med spa doctor, what they're looking for. So 5 to 10 new NeoGraph patients, I know they want that, right? That's the forefront of their mind. And I know that they are most likely relying on referrals. After speaking with a bunch of them, that is kind of how they get their business, or they're running campaigns which they deem as risky, like a Google AdWords campaign or something. So I'm going to, essentially, that's my headline. It's a great headline formula, which is how to amazing result without the things that suck. So how to yay without boo. That's how I was taught it in copywriting. So you could do that, whatever your niche is, how to get the result they want without what are the things that are frustrating them? What are the things that they don't want? After that, I've made a big claim. One of the things that I always, and you'll see me do this in my sales calls, in my presentations like this, and I learned this from probably the best copywriter in the world. His name's Gary Bencivenga. And he says, whenever you make a claim, you always combine it with proof. right? So I made a claim now that's pretty big. So now I want to find a way to either justify it with proof. And one of the proof elements is I acknowledge skepticism. So immediately I say, now I know you've probably heard claims like this in the past, but let me show you how you're different. So I'm kind of entering in the conversation. Then I back up with another proof element of here's how it works and here's my guarantee, right? I'm saying I guarantee my results again, which I want to get to the forefront of this video because again, these people don't know me. They got a cold email in their inbox which said, hey, watch this video. And now I got them onto this page. I showed you the email. It got about a 44% open rate. The subject title was, new NeoGraft patient for doctor. They click this video. They're on a basic video page, which has this video. They're pressing play. I know here, I got a couple seconds. This is a busy person. Business owners are busy. They get pitched all the time. So again, I'm coming in guns blazing and I'm backing out. And then I'm backing it with proof.
All right, let's keep going. I see Lori says she can't hear Mike. I can hear him fine. And from what I can tell, everyone else can as well. So just everyone's connections might be a little bit different.
Yep. Now, I want to ask you a question. And that question is this. Despite your best efforts, why is your office not growing as fast as you would like? And I just want to take you, have you look at this this image right here, this infographic on the screen. This is the marketing technology landscape, and this is September 2012. As you can see, it is very confusing. You got your SEO, PPC, email, all these different software, B2B data, databases, big data, all this stuff. And fast forward now to 2017, and it looks a lot busier. I mean, there's so many different opportunities out there, and it's absolutely overwhelming now in 2019. It is even more crammed. And what this causes is massive marketing confusion. I mean, you got your social media, your TV, your postcards, yellow pages, YouTube, radio, Valpak, Google pay-per-click, Bing pay-per-click, SEO, newspapers, Facebook, Instagram, remarketing, banners ad, and it's enough to just kind of make your head spin. And the truth is this. If you want to dominate your local market, you need to be using all the different marketing channels available to you. And what you really need to do is you need to spend less money on the fluff marketing that you can't track and more on patient acquisition that brings the right people through your door in a measurable and trackable way. But the big problem usually is this. The people in your business are experts at delivering a first-class service to your patients, but how can they be expected to be experts in all of these marketing channels? So really the solution that I see a lot of times is usually you go and you outsource to multiple marketing agencies and you pay them regardless whether or not the campaign works. And no wonder you've always been left feeling disappointed with the results. To find the right vendor for each channel, one channel alone takes a lot of work. And now if you're starting to add multiple channels, you then have to manage multiple companies. And this all takes you away from treating patients and running your business. And even worse, none of this marketing is connected or joined up, meaning there's inefficiency and lost opportunities. And then there's the big fat marketing lie. And this is this, despite what marketing companies tell you, over 90% of your marketing budget is probably wasted. And I know you're saying, hey, that sounds terrible. And a lot of people, when they try different marketing programs, when they try people that are just doing one channel and it doesn't work, they go back and they say, well, we'll just rely on referrals. And if you're getting busy with that, that's great because referrals are likely the best source of new patients, but they're also the least controllable. And that is the danger of relying on referrals. There's really no way to scale predictably. And you also have that kind of feast and famine, which is you cross your fingers, and it's what I call hope marketing. You're hoping, you're waking up and you're hoping that new patients come in, and you really don't have a way to predictably generate them in. So let me ask you this question. If you could spend $1 and get $5 back, how many dollars would you spend? And in that question, obviously, if you could spend $2 and get $10 back, how many $2 would you spend? And in that lies the key to unlimited growth. And the key is that it's really to have a proven system that generates quality NeoGraft patients on demand whenever you need them, guaranteed. And that is what we are about here at Influence Digitally. What we do is we harness the power of big data and social media marketing to drive a massive amount of high quality inquiries in real time to your business like clockwork. I'm talking about people who are the most interested in NeoGraph reaching out, and we're literally sending them straight to you. Because what we do is simple. We use multi-channel patient acquisition campaign. We don't just rely on one place. We go where the market is most eager and people are ready to buy in your local area. And best of all, like I said before, we actually guarantee results, which is a lot different than a lot of the other people offering you solutions. So let me explain to you how our system works. Like I said, we build a multi-channel marketing machine that fills your practice with new patients on demand in a way that's fully scalable, measurable, and trackable. So the way it works is this. What we do is we target your best clients, your best patients using social advertising and big data. And what that means is we're using platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube ads, Twitter ads, Google search, Google Display Network. And what you do is when you look at all these platforms, not only is the reach tremendous, for example, there's 1 billion users on Facebook, but these platforms also have a tremendous amount of data on the prospects at large. So we're able to target with such precision. People searching for NeoGraph, we could put up an ad in front of them. People reading blogs or articles about NeoGraph or hair loss, we can place ads in front of them. People receiving and sending emails about NeoGraph, we could place an ad in front of them. People watching online videos about hair restoration or NeoGraph, we can place, again, ads in front of them. And what we do is we actually create you a branded offer microsite, and that is part of our magic, what we do. So approximately right now, there's 50 million men and 30 million women in the United States that are suffering from this genetic pattern of baldness or hair thinning. And what we do is we're able to actually use our unique targeting.
So I want to stop it right there for just a moment, because I think it's a good stop point to kind of explain something. If you listen to what Mike's saying, he's ultimately educating the doctor, showing the doctor that he's not just a rookie. He's not an amateur. He's actually giving the doctor statistics that the doctor may or may not even know. You know, the doctor might have been in practice for so long that they don't know these statistics, you know, and they don't focus on necessarily their marketing. They focus on, you know, doing the services that people come in for. And so this is something I've been talking about to you guys for years about. Don't go into a marketplace and look like you're a rookie. Don't look like an amateur. Don't just, you know, show up to a meeting or send a presentation over and be completely generic. Speak directly to the person who is in that industry and show them that you are at the same level or potentially even more knowledgeable about the marketplace that they have at their fingertips. I always talk about doing your research, going over to these other Facebook groups, learning about the market, finding marketing charts that are specific to the industry, going to the different trade journals, even the trade shows, finding some of these trade shows where maybe these different companies go, and finding who speaks, who's the expert in those marketplaces, and studying those people. Right? You're really just trying to make yourself stand out, because at the end of the day, attention is everything. You gotta grab someone's attention, you gotta keep it. Right. And you got to demonstrate to them that you actually know what you're doing, you know how to do it, and that you can deliver the results that you're promising, which obviously Mike's making some great promises here. He's guaranteeing his leads that they're going to get. You know, you'll hear in one of the calls you guys will listen to in either today or the next day, depending on our time. You guys will just hear how one of the doctors responds to Mike. It's very interesting, and then turns around and gives him the credit card because how well positioned this video is. And look, Mike, I don't know, but I imagine you make these presentations? How'd you make this presentation, by the way?
It's honestly, because it's exactly, you could use any tool. I know you train on screencast. So
yeah, well, I'm just saying, I'm asking, like, basically this layout, you know, of how you went through this. There's some sort of a flow you're going through. Are you gonna?
Yeah. So it's so essentially what I'm doing is it's a very, very simple, like, it's a classic copywriting formula, which is, here's the result, which that was the first slide. And then after that, I'm going into a question about their pain, which is, hey, why is your office not growing as quick as you would like? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to educate them on the problem. And the problem, and I have very many different versions of this this pitch. Like everyone, I think this is version, I don't even know, whatever, but I would always change it. And every market I'm in, I'm trying new things, right? Which is something, it doesn't cost anything to send out a cold email to a screencast. But for this one, I essentially what I did, and this is the exact one that Greg got, is I was like, hey, the problem is you're a doctor and there's so much technology going on, because I know that's what's going on in their head. They're like, I can't keep up with the SEO and all this. So it's me really knowing my prospect. I know that he, like, just like you said, he's focused on being a doctor, right? And that's kind of I say, hey, how are you supposed to be an expert in all this marketing technology and still be, able to deliver a first-class service? So then I say, hey, here's what you usually do and why it doesn't work. Usually go to these different marketing agencies. They don't guarantee anything, position. And then I flip it and say, here's the solution, which is basically obviously self-serving, work with my company. And now I'm into education-based marketing, which is I'm going to educate them on how my system works. And the whole thing I'm doing is I'm educating why I'm different. So again, at the end of the day, this is what makes this, like, I'm giving away all my secrets here. This is how you enter in a market and dominate your competition, because everyone else out there is freaking lazy. They're sending out one cold email. They're not educating at all, and they're not saying why they're different. And they're going, oh, how come I can't land any clients? You take a little bit more effort. You put this together, just like I did. And I'm listening to this now, and I'm like, wow, I'm stumbling and bumbling through like the beginning of it, and it still worked, right? It's just the fact that it's so different for someone to go out and do this. So here I'm educating, showing them why they're different, showing why I'm different. And you'll see I keep hitting points of differentiation, keep dropping stats, keep educating them on how it works so they're going to be comfortable. And then the close is going to be book on my calendar. So you could, unless you want to add anything to that.
No, I want people to understand kind of what you're doing, how you're positioning, and just the full understanding, because it's really easy to watch something like this, go back, try to swipe what you can. But if you don't know the real, like, behind the scenes understanding of what and why you're doing it, then, it can, for some it might fall flat as far as like, I don't know why that would work so well. So hearing the different ways you're positioning and laying this thing up, I think is important all from a play-by-play standpoint. I'll keep playing.
Yeah, and you could do this. Maybe we could even take this on as like a case study project. But, if anyone's trying to sell SEO leads, if anyone's trying to rent a lead gen property, I mean, you can literally create one of these videos following the same formula, right? And the key actually is you don't want to copy this, right? Because you can model it, but if you copy it, you're going to get bad results. For years, I was the biggest copier in the world, and I didn't have any my major breakthroughs came when I actually started to be like, let me think, let me be different, let me create something and actually be natural and talk and figure out what's going on. When I came into this marketplace, no one else was doing this. I didn't copy anyone in this marketplace. This is the first time the marketplace had ever seen anything like this. And this is why so many people booked on my calendar. And there's nothing complicated about it. Everyone's so fearful of, like, I was. So I'm speaking from experience. Like, I was copying to not fail and to try to not mess up. But when the reality is like, you mess up by copying. If you just simply say, here's the result I'm going to get you, and then just free flow. Here's the problem that I think you're running into. Here's here's what you're probably doing to solve this. Here's the solution. Working with us, here's how we do things differently. We actually have a pre-built lead gen in your locality, and then you sell against all the SEO companies, right? And you start to create a system like this, some PowerPoints, and explain it. And you will see, you'll hear the phone call when he first jumps on with me after this. It's a totally different phone call than you cold call in or cold email in the old school way, right? You're now positioned, and then it becomes totally easy. And that's why you saw at the end of last call, it's a $3,000 a month deal. He's giving me his credit card.
Place it in front of the right people based off of gender, male, female. We could target basically what we always start with is 10-mile radius right around your practice. We could target, are they a member of the gym? We could target, do they have fancy credit cards? It gets pretty crazy, but we're able to target the perfect prospect for you, educate them about what Graft is, inform them, nurture them, and then send you those targeted prospects, all thanks to big data. And that is how our system works. And It's as simple as this. It's a proven 2-step process to fill up your practice with new patients on demand. So what we do is we put out marketing through these different channels. Think of them as fishing lines, basically, in the pond. And then when people bite, they say, I'm interested in NeoGraft, and they tell us why they want NeoGraft. What we do is we send them to you. So we install a proven advertising campaign across multiple online channels in your local area. Again, we can do geo-targeting, so we're not serving a 10, 15-mile radius of your practice, those that would be a perfect fit for NeoGraft. And as soon as those best prospects inquire about using you as their NeoGraft provider, we send them to you directly in real time, so you can instantly book them in for that initial consultation and turn them into a new patient. And it's really this. What you're getting is a system that generates you new patients on demand. You tell us how many new patients you want, and we go and get them. It's as flexible as that. And not only that, we can turn it on and off as a tap. Once it's working, we can start to scale it up. So if it already isn't obvious, here's how we're different. Most quote unquote marketing agencies, here's what they do. They'll go out, they'll charge you a retainer, and then you'll pay ad spend on top of that. And there's absolutely no guarantee of results. And personally, I think that's nuts. Even worse, most of these marketing, quote unquote marketing agencies will usually test with your money. They've never done a campaign like this before. So you end up paying for that expensive trial and error period, which naturally happens with every new campaign. And if they somehow do get the campaign rolling for you, their entire focus is on the metrics that don't matter to you, such as reach, brand awareness, or impressions. I've hired companies like this in the past, and it is a nightmare. I mean, they're not even speaking the same language as you, which is this. You're the only metric that we deal with. I mean, I come from direct response marketing. I come from the real world. Is the only number that we deal with for you guys is new patients and return on investment. That is all. Our system is trackable and measurable down to the dollars and cents. And you can see each month exactly how much money you're putting into the machine and how much you're getting back. Plus, we only ever take on a new partner if we've developed a proven campaign that we know crushes it. In other words, we test with our money first, which is why we're able to generate new inquiries for you with no ramp-up period, and also why we're able to guarantee our performance. So it's as simple as that. Guaranteed results. And not only on top of that, the billing is super simple. Each month you invest a flat service fee for us to run this proven campaign for you. We work exclusively with one partner per area, so you get the exclusivity in your local area. You can dominate it. You're locked in. Your competitors are locked out. And we guarantee you to send you a minimum number of targeted NeoGraft inquiries every month from people who fit your target demographic, who are most likely to become new patients. There's no long-term contracts. Everything we do is month to month. And the results that we generate for you will keep the relationship going for as long as you want to get new NeoGraft patients. And
Mike, talk really quickly, because like what you're doing right here is you're essentially removing every objection that any of us that have sat with anyone to sell them leads or marketing. You know, you're taking those away up front. I call it the M&M because it's when in 8 Mile, what Eminem would do, right? Is he would, before they could battle him, he would just make fun of himself, because that was what battle rapping was all about. So it's like in a way you're kind of pulling these things to the forefront. In handling objections. Is there any process that you go through to figure out what those objections are? Are these just kind of like generic objections, or?
Yeah, I mean, these are generic objections. This also was about the fifth niche that I actually entered into in my agency. Obviously, you guys have seen the case study. The first niche I ever did with my agency was the mortgage niche. And then I did a couple other niches. But I just, after you do a couple niches, this is a matter of just taking action and speaking with people, like getting hand-to-hand combat and seeing what they said, like about what they liked, what they didn't like about the service. So really at the end of the day, it's like you learn so much by getting out in the field and then figuring out what they say. And then all this was all the things that they complained about, right? Oh, like they're testing with my money. Oh, it's a ramp up period. Oh, they're locking me into a long-term contract. It was a nightmare and I can't get out of my contract. Oh, like they spent all this money and they just like was brands and likes and impressions. And like, I don't care about that. I want money, right? So this was all stuff that I had heard. And this is like, I personally, I'm cringing listening to my video right now because I'm like, I'm bumbling like almost an idiot in some parts, but it worked. And it worked just because, what you say is more important than how you say it. So the famous John Caples is one of the best copywriters like ever. Tested Advertising, highly recommend everyone read that book. And he says in the first chapter, what you say is more important than how you say it. Like if I go to Dan and I have the winning lottery ticket for another $10 million, he's not going to care how I tell him that he has a winning lottery ticket, right? It's, again, I'm just thinking of an analogy off the top of my head, but like the what you're saying, then that's why don't be afraid to mess these up. Don't be afraid to do what I did here. Like I'm listening to this and I'm like, I could have done this so much better. But the what I'm saying, I think, is spot on, which is what caused a reaction in this marketplace.
All right, I'm going to keep going.
And if at any stage we do not deliver, our work is free, so we take all of the risk. So the bottom line is this. If you want predictable results, if you want a system that where you put $1 in, you get $5 back, $10 back, it is this. The bottom line is rapidly growing practices don't rely on luck or chance to get to the next level. They don't rely on referrals. They don't cross their fingers. They don't test. What they do is they use a proven system. So if you would like for us to install this system into your business, if you would like for us to generate you new NeoGraph patients on demand, then here is what we have for you. We're looking for new partners across the country right now. And like I said, we only work with one partner per area. So the next step is to go ahead and click below. There'll be a button below. Click to schedule a no-spin Q&A call to see if your area is still available. That is a link to my personal calendar. So if you go ahead and you click that, book in a consultation. Let's set up 15 minutes. We can go over, check if your area is still available. And then what we'll do is we'll have a quick chat. 10, 15 minutes, do a bit of an audit on your business and see if this is a fit for you. Because I'm going to be honest, not everyone will be accepted. What we're looking for is quite simple. We're looking for solid partners that have a long-term mindset and also have a proven process that are good at sales. They know that they can convert these type of inquiries, because I'm going to know if I'm going to send you 100 inquiries every single month that you're going to be able to do what it takes to convert those into new patients. That way it's a win-win for both of us. So we're looking for practices that are fun to work with, that know what they're doing, and have a great service as well. So that's kind of what we're looking for. Again, this is not a fit for everyone. Right now, we have 20 spaces left in the U.S., so it's literally a first come, first served basis, because once they go, they go. So the next step is this. Let's talk. There's no risk. There's absolutely no obligation. Let's have a chat. Let's see if your area is still available. Let's see if there's a fit. Let's see if there's a win-win. Let's see if this makes sense for you. Let's see if this makes sense for us. And we could obviously, if it sounds like a fit, I could go over the rest, explain this more in detail, answer any questions that you may have. So go ahead. You have absolutely everything to gain and nothing to lose. So go ahead, click the link below, schedule a no-spin Q&A call. That's directly to my diary. You'll speak with me personally. I'll go over your business. We'll take a look at everything, and then we can move forward from there. But let's do this. Let's make this month your biggest month ever, and let's make this year your biggest year ever. I look forward to speaking with you. It's a pleasure making this video. My name is Mike Marin from Influence Digitally, and I'll talk to you soon.
Booyah.
That's it.
Pretty good.
Thank you.
Really good. No, it's really good. I mean, even though you like, there's little things, because we're always our own worst critic, but at the end of the day, there's value there. It handled objections. It positioned you differently than probably anyone that they're marketing to, or that's marketing to them. And it gave them a chance to. Now it's the ball's in their court. So I just want to kind of make sure everyone understands. I think you do. But Mike sends out cold emails, right? That's the way he markets. Some people do cold calls. He's a cold email guy, right? So this is that process he kind of goes through, right? And so I want you guys to understand that you guys can do this same exact thing for your lead gen properties you guys are building, right? If you have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 of them, whatever it is, especially if you go into one vertical, right? If you're in one vertical, like if you're in NeoGraph like he is, this one video can be applicable to how many emails would you send out to this space, Michael?
There was 222 of them total in the entire country. So I sent out to every NeoGraph provider.
Okay. And so you went through, I know you go through this in Cold to Sold, but like that's your cold marketing course that some people might not have been around to know that you had that, but it's in our store if you guys want to check it out. But it's this is a good use of time. Being able to put an email out with that video in it and then send people to a calendar, Mike's calendar. Ultimately he just got in front of if they all open this email, I think 43% opened yours, right?
Yep.
You're talking, what is that, 100 and some people, 118, 116?
118, yeah. And then I mailed them every week until I think I had annoyed every NeoGraph provider in the entire United States.
How many emails did you send? Yeah, well, that's the rule, right? It's buy or die. I'm gonna bug you until you either buy or you literally die. And that's what I was taught in the car business. Once you had a lead, you work that lead until they buy or die. And so Mike's, it's annoying, but what do you care?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're not the one being annoyed. You're the one getting paid those $3,000, $5,000, closes that we're going to listen to next. So talk to me. This email. Do you think in every one of them you're sending them a link to your calendar? What's the process?
Yeah. So I mean, the process that I used always. And every niche I went into was, number one, I'm creating a 13-minute video, 16-minute or less video that's going to explain. And I would create a couple different versions, but I would always I think that one I sent out 2 weeks in a row, and then I made a different one, try a different angle, different hook, a little bit more polished, and send it out. So that was really, it still is. When I'm like heavy prospecting, it's get a video like that done and then push it out to the market, see what response I get. And, some of them work and some of them don't work and some of them crush it. And that was really my whole process in this niche was I kept hammering. I was like, unsubscribe, new video. And then I would do videos where it's like, hey, I've been emailing you for 7 weeks. Here's the results that I've been getting with, eight other NeoGraph providers. Look at the results that I got Greg, look at the results that I got Vern. And, they would always start off with less proof. And then the more proof I got, the more proof that would be added into those presentations as firepower.
Okay. I'm going to pull up because you kind of take a little bit different approach than I do, which is you do a 2-step close. You found that works a little bit better. So talk us through that. We talked about it briefly, but we heard the second call last week where you closed the deal for a $3,000 lead gen deal for 40 leads a month, I think is what you said.
Yep, 40 leads a month for $3,000. Yep.
Right. So this is the call that happened before this. So the gentleman got this email, watched your video, was compelled enough to book on your calendar. I think everyone listening in right now would probably be pretty excited if we had people booking on our calendar, raising their hand because they want help with lead generation. They want help with their business. Yep. And then you do a 2-step call. So walk us through that.
Yep. So the way that I do it is, again, I learned I was doing 1 step all the time. And then one of my friends / mentor, he actually had wasn't one of these guys that sell like agency courses. He actually had an agency that was doing $500,000 a month. And he said, everything he did was a 2-step close. And he would do a 10 to 15 minute phone call, because you got to realize they don't know you, right? Like that email I sent out, those doctors don't know me from a hole in the wall. And then they're watching the video. So I feel like it's almost like that first call is like taking them on a first date. And you'll see what I always try to do is I always try to flip it. Cause I'm going out to them first, right? So I'm like chasing them, but once I chase them, I'm kind of if you see at the end of that phone call, I'm like, this is not a fit for everyone. I then start to pull back once they come in, and you saw how I did that on the close last week. So that's essentially what I'm doing. So 10, 15 minute phone call, you'll see how I frame it. You'll see how I position it. And everyone's asking for the numbers of this campaign. There's a slide I put in the Dropbox shared folder that has the exact numbers of this campaign of how many clients I landed throughout the throughout the process of this. I don't know if you want to show that on the screen or if you just want to get the.
I'm trying to find it right now. It's going to take me a minute, so you might want to keep talking because I'm not even close
Okay.
to it.
And then, any questions you guys have, pop them in the chat because I'm like,
There's
I'm
an
open book here. So whatever you guys want to know, if you guys want help, how we apply this to different businesses, because like this stuff, once you understand the mechanics of it, like, and I've been talking about this the last couple of weeks, like our infamous now Pool Live. This is what I talked about, right? I talked about creating an education-based marketing piece. This is now an actual example of the education-based marketing piece. So you can kind of see exactly how it works and what I'm doing it, right? So Jared Miller saying, hey, this is so good.
You want to jump into the audit call? I can't find where that one is that you sent me.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, let's jump into the audit call, and then I'll make it full screen, and I'll hop in, and we'll find it where it is.
Okay. Second here, let me pull this up. So we're basically moving into his call that's going to set up the call you guys heard last week. Kind of jumped around a little bit, so we can pull this up. There we go.
Man, city, I was seeing that before. Cool. So, I mean, I have about now 10 minutes to actually a little bit longer than that to my next call. Do you mind if I send an agenda so we get the most out of our time?
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So just to tell you a little bit about what we do, did you get a chance actually before I let you know a little bit what we do to watch the video that I sent over?
Yeah, I think that tells all I need to know as far as how you generate the lead. I would be more interested in how the financial portion of it and how many leads you feel as though you could give me in both of my locations.
Absolutely, absolutely. So basically, that's the purpose of this call. If I think it's a fit, what I'll do is I'll put my team on it. We'll research your area. We'll see kind of what we estimate we could get right around where you guys are. One thing that is different is that we do work on an exclusive basis. And the other thing is that the campaign is proven. So we're already generating leads elsewhere. So it's really about, if I think it's a fit, we work with one provider per location. That's really the purpose of this call, to spend the next 15 minutes, find out more about you. Obviously, you're looking for the best possible partner for yourself. We're looking for the best possible partner. We're looking to partner up with one person per area and kind of dominate with them. So really, I just find out more about you, your business, what you're doing, what your goals are for the future, and then see if it's worth your time and my time, scheduling a more depth conversation in the future where we can plan out everything and show you how everything works and take it from there. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Okay, so you see what I did there.
Yeah, tell me about.
Got it.
So what I did there, so you can see right away, I'm controlling the frame, setting the agenda. Like he's come off. I've done some basic greeting, which I cut out because it's boring. Like, hey, how's it going? How was the weather? Hey, Greg, and then I'm immediately going into setting the frame. I'm going to say, here's what we're going to do. In the next 15 minutes, I set the time. We're gonna learn more about you, your business, what your goals are for the future, and then we're gonna see if it's a good fit. If it's a good fit, we'll schedule an additional call where I'll explain how everything works to you. By doing that, I have now taken control of this phone call. He's at effect, I'm at cause. The other thing I did was not everyone watches that video. So if you notice, my second line was, hey, Greg, did you get a chance to check out the video? The video you guys all just watched. And his response was, yep, checked it out. That's pretty much all I need to know. So I now know I'm dealing with a pre-sold, pre-qualified, educated buyer. And that's now how I'm going to take this phone call. He said, yeah, I'm concerned about the financials. A lot of people make the mistake where they'll immediately jump in and start giving prices. Notice how I just kind of ignored it. I ignored that and said, yeah, we'll get to that. Continued establishing the agenda for the phone call. This is how it's going to work. I got 10 minutes, right? My time is valuable. We're going to learn more about you, your business, what your goals are for the future, and then we're going to see if this is a good fit. So that's all the stuff I just laid down. Now we're going to go on some basic fact finding, and you could continue it unless you want anything to add there, Dan.
Yeah, really quick. I just know there's a few people asking. We had a little bit. Jared asked, "Are you going to be covering the Facebook ad trade?" We pushed it till Thursday just because we had a couple tech stuff with our new platform that we're pushing out for the learning management, so we can better help know where you guys are at. So we pushed that. We wanted to show the process of a few of the stuff we missed. So that will be coming on Thursday for you guys. But let's keep going with this audit call because this is some good stuff. And only thing I was going to add to this was just I've done so many closes, whether it was in the car business or phone calls, sitting with small business owners, whatever. And you're right. There's a lot of people that want to jump ahead. They want to control the frame. They want to control the pace. They want to control, they want to get to these questions that are burning in their head, even though it's really not the reason they buy. It's just pre-programmed responses. So what Mike's saying is really important for you guys to hear is you kind of just put the blinders on, be agreeable. Yeah, no problem. We'll get to that. I have an agenda. I want to just go over a few things first. Mike's now controlling the frame, right? Cause and effect. Which one are you, right? If he's not controlling this conversation and he's not moving them in the direction he wants, in the outline he wants, then he's going to be the effect of the other person on the other line. So just in everything you do in life, I don't care what it is, ask yourself that question. Which one are you, cause or are you the effect? And you'll start to see some glaring holes that you're probably screwing up. It takes practice. It takes being self-aware, but it's really, really important in the art of sales and the art of putting a deal together, because if you're doing things correctly, you've already pre-planned the route you're going to move, at least in a rough outline. And you don't necessarily, obviously you can move and shake throughout it, but you still want to be the person that is the cause. And your plan is you're on my time and you're going to go through my process. Just like if I came into your office for a neograph, I'm not going to sit there and be in charge. You're the doc. That's why I hired you.
Right.
This is really good stuff from just a positioning and to see it live in action. It's really good. So keep going.
Tell me about your business, what you guys currently achieving when it comes to neograph, and what are you guys looking to achieve in the future?
Well, right now we don't do a lot of neograph because I haven't spent a ton of money on. I noticed that the more money I threw at the advertising, the worse it got. So we sold most of our initial. We actually moved the machine back and forth between Tulsa and City, so that we basically use one machine for both locations. So that should tell you right now that we're not seeing even close to the number of appointments we should. For instance, I do about 2.2 million in sales. In City, I do about 4.2 million in sales. In erectile dysfunction, hormone therapy, medical weight loss, all that bullshit. And so we added NeoGraft, I guess, about 8 months ago. And I started marketing it on digitally. And, with Bosley and the other people in the game, your rate per PPC ad is high. And so we basically attacked our current patient base, which is about 5,000, and we sold probably maybe 50 neographs out of it. But now it's slowing back down to where we're going to have to do something as far as marketing is concerned. So, as far as closing the deals, I have sales closers in my location.
Oh, perfect.
But, doctors don't do the closing. We have sales girls. And I'm primarily a male clinic, men's clinic. So I got sales girls that go in there and they get the money. So I'm not worried about closing the deals. I'm worried about generating the leads. I mean, I can generate ED leads all day long, testosterone leads all day long. Those are not a problem for me. NeoGraft has been a market where I have not seen the type of ROI I need on what I'm, obviously selling to current patients. Obviously, the ROI is high because there's really no additional investment in marketing. But in this scenario, I would definitely be interested in finding a way to get qualified NeoGraft leads in the office.
Okay. All right. So what you're telling me then is, so you essentially got the machine 8 months ago, and you did PPC. Is that your definition of PPC? Is that like retargeting to your current list?
SEO and PPC advertising. Obviously targeting keywords.
Okay. And that wasn't working. Basically, you run a Google AdWords and SEO for hair transplant words.
We were getting a variety of unqualified leads. People came in that had the money, and we were getting the least of the least out of our campaign. In other words, we were getting the dregs, and everybody else was getting what I would guess would be the more qualified leads because they're just better at it,
Mm-hmm. And how many?
I never sold a hair replacement until 8 months ago.
Got it. And any other forms of marketing that you've done when it comes to NeoGraft?
No.
No. Okay, so just SEO and Google, nothing else besides that? No
And what
magazine,
they send you.
And what they send you. Okay, and that's from the website, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what's, just so I understand, because you guys are obviously successfully making the testosterone, and what was the other thing you said? You basically have the erectile dysfunction treatments. Those, are those, how are you marketing those services? Same thing?
Radio.
Is it?
Well, SEO, radio. I spend in $10,000 a week in marketing. In the city, I spend about $16,000 a week. So it's not like I don't advertise. I do.
Yeah.
I've never radio advertised a hair replacement because I just don't. I don't know. I mean, it was just a brand new thing to me, and I've thought about making it go away a couple of times because I just, it's if I had somebody else doing the lead generation for me, I would sell a ton of it.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay.
Just want to just mention something, like if you listen to this is something good to take notes. You just heard a guy basically say, if I could just find someone like you, like things would be perfect, right? And Mike didn't waver at all. He just said, okay. Like the positioning is important for you guys to hear this, the pacing of what he's saying, how he is saying it, the tonality he's taking, not getting excited. He sounds like an absolute pro that's actually vetting this guy out. And that's probably not normal. A lot of times when people get in there, it's like, if you guys have seen Tommy Boy, you get in there and it's like the sale is your little pet, and it's like, and you kill it. You had to say it. You do it, and you hear him chill, just even keel, just almost like he's taking notes, like he's more interested to make sure it's the right fit, not necessarily to just close the deal. So this guy's almost in a way, kind of, I don't know what's the right word. He's qualifying himself to Mike, and Mike's not getting, he's not changing his tone at all. So let's keep going.
So, anything else for the testosterone, erectile dysfunction stuff? Is it just primarily radio, or you guys are driving the majority, doing TV for that? Any Facebook ads?
We do SEO, social media.
Is that paid social media? Organic.
Well, paid social media hasn't been a big, in erectile dysfunction at least, hasn't been a good ROI. Facebook is, when talking about men 40 plus, they just don't spend a lot of time on Facebook.
This is also a good time to know data. This guy doesn't know anything. He's just pulling out things from his what. And this happens a lot. It happens pretty much with everything, is you believe whatever your reality is. You think that's what's going on in the rest of the world. But he couldn't be more farther from the truth. In fact, that's one of the largest segments of Facebook. So it's important that you don't buy the exhaust sometimes that is being spoken by these clients. And this is the longer you're in the marketing game, the more of this stuff you'll understand, the more marketing charts you'll have studied and read and been on live streams like this. We're covering stuff like this, but this is where being an expert is important, because, then you have statistics that you can kind of pull from and whatnot. But, this happens so often in so many different channels of marketing, where they put a message out to the marketplace, it fell flat and they blame the network or they blame the billboard, but yet someone else has been running it for 10 years straight and it's killing it and it's going to the same marketplace. So always understand that, there's a certain level of exhaust that I think all business owners end up breathing, and just, know your stuff, because you can handle stuff like that in these types of situations.
And so I can get some if I was doing BHRT for women, Facebook would probably be really, really, really effective. It hasn't been effective, tested many times for erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, HGH, human growth hormone therapy, or low testosterone therapy. Mostly, the most effective campaign's been PPC and making sure that I'm coming up in SEO and I'm highly ranked SEO-wise. Those have been the most correct. And of course, I also advertise those on the radio and push them to my landing page sites.
Okay, got it. Now, when you ran the PPC back to Neograph, I mean, that's a good sign, the fact that you got the sales staff in there that's able to handle the leads for radio, because those are general market type of leads. What was the offer you were running for Neograph when you ran?
It was a $99 office visit.
$99 office visit.
Yeah.
So they're paying for the office visit for $100.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. How many leads would you say? You don't have to give me exact numbers, but approximately a month would you generate?
I don't know. I would probably get 4, maybe 2 to 4 a week coming in, and out of those 2 to 4, probably bring in about 4 to 6 a month, I would say, actually, off of that.
Oh wow.
Okay. And clearly, I had at that time I had my in-house person doing it, and they I don't think that they again, I really didn't know how to produce the landing pages, and I really didn't know how to produce what's going to bring them in the door. It was a brand new thing to me. Neograph is very poor at helping you in marketing. They don't really give you any help at all in the marketing field. Hey, this is what you need to do. Here's how you generate leads. Any of that, right? So when I got your information, and I looked at your video, I was like, okay, if this guy can produce leads, I'm willing to pay for them. I got absolutely no problem with that. So if you know how to generate the leads, man, I will pay you for them and I'll close them.
Beautiful, because that's exactly what I do. I actually guarantee my performance on that. So perfect. Let me ask you this then. So you've done about 50 cases last 8 months. What's your goal with all of this? What is, how many patients would you like to get per month? What would you like
we were really busy doing that in that 8 months. I mean, so if I could have 4 Neograph cases per location per month, or even if I could do 4 per location per month, I would be happy.
Okay, got it. 4 locations per month per location. Beautiful.
So eight total.
I haven't done my research yet, but that definitely seems doable. I'll double check the demographics.
Could I do 8? Yes, I could do 8. Why not? 8 per location, I could do that. I'd probably top out, honestly, at about 10, considering everything else I got going on at the same time. But
a month is kind of the max.
I could probably do that. Would max me out. Definitely, that would.
Is that per location too?
Yes.
I think this is a good time just to also mention something. Oftentimes, the way I hear a lot of people sell is it's so much like hype and they're like, we're going to flood you with calls. How would your business do with another 100 leads? This guy's like, I can handle 8. So it's important when you're making presentations to understand who you're making the presentation to and how much capacity they have. Because when you tell someone that has the capacity to only take 8, that you're going to give them 100 or whatever it is, 100 new leads or 100, whatever you're pitching, you can really stab yourself, mess yourself up. So it is important to kind of like get down into what their goals are, which is what Mike was saying. He's getting his goals kind of there in the call. It's important that you guys bring that stuff up, bring to the forefront, understand who you're working with, because you can actually turn customers off because they think that you're going to make them too busy. And when a lot of small businesses specifically don't have great systems in place, they don't have stuff, that is going to allow them to scale, and that's hopefully some of the more stuff we'll teach you as we go, not necessarily all today, but to kind of come in there and be able to consult on some of these things, because you want all your clients to be able to scale with you if you can, because that means your money is going to go up over time. And that's just usually getting better systems in place, helping them with some of the stuff, with training up new employees. We're going to show you some stuff in the coming weeks with Snaps, where you're going to have this whole back end where you can have training systems for your clients, and we can get good content in there for them so their employees can get trained up quicker. But these things are super important for you guys to be hearing and understanding why certain deals go well and certain deals don't. Sometimes it's just the little things. Let's keep going.
Okay. In the last 30 days, how many Neograph cases have you done?
From new leads? 0.
Yeah, just in total. 0.
Oh, in total? I don't know. From current patients, probably 3 total between the 2 offices.
Okay, 3 total.
At the end of it. Now, we had a really hefty one, man, where we did one month we did 17 between the 2 offices, but those were all current patients. Again, I didn't have to generate those leads.
Yeah. Well,
so
easiest lead if it's
something simple, man. They come in there and ask you how much hair. They already happy with your services. I mean, it's bing, bang, boom. The other ones when they come in, but I can honestly say I'm going to close them, because when it comes to a per graph price, I'm about the cheapest in town. I mean, I'm between $3 and $4.50 a graph.
Wow, that's cheap. $3 to $4 a graph. What is your average case value then?
Around 10 grand.
Okay. Oh, still good. Okay.
Like you at 3,500 to around 10. 2,500 to around 7,900. So
7,900.
Come in average affordable.
Got it. I mean, that'll help.
I guess if I ran PPC saying between $3 and $5 a graph, I guess that would probably pull. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not educated in this particular field. Just one thing. I don't know how to generate the lead. And I'm frustrated with it. I own 6 other companies on top of these locations that I have. So I'm very busy all the time, and I just don't have the time to fuck with it.
Okay, got it. Well, I'll definitely take a look at what they're doing. I actually think you're lower than like the amount that Neograph even wants you to do it for. I think the limit's like 5, but that's fine. Yeah. Everyone kind of goes. Some people go below that and some of that, which is fine. Okay, I mean, and then you said you got the 2. I mean, based on what you told me,
just so you know, contractually they can't tell me what to sell it for. So,
okay.
I know
they don't want to sell it below. Go ahead.
Below what their advertised price is, but I have a special contract. Mine went through my attorneys before it went to them. So I have no limit on what I can sell it for.
That's perfect. That's even better then. I mean,
and I can just tell you, we could pull. They send me leads and all the way from, because they don't have anybody out there.
So what areas?
People drive a couple hours for hair, I think. Huh?
So where would you like to get leads from then? That's even a better question.
I mean, obviously, the closer the better. But I could care less. I mean, as long as they come to my office.
Okay. And then where is the other companies around you? Where are they getting leads from? You said Arkansas.
I don't know.
Which is all around, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you could look at the where the Neograph locations are located. You know, people like, for instance, there's only one person, Lad Atkins, that has a machine. He's a dope when it comes to generating leads.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a plastic surgeon. Okay, so he makes most of his money putting titties on women and doing facelifts and sucking fat out of their legs. So he's got a Neograph, but he sells it mostly. I could tell you he does maybe 10 cases a year.
Uh-huh.
So I'm not. Yeah, it's all within the confines of his practice. So I am a marketer and seller. I train my people how to close leads when they come in the door. Not a doctor. I just own the clinics, and I run them like a business. And if you can bring me qualified leads, I will close them all day long and twice on Sundays.
Beautiful. Let me do this. I mean, based on what you told me, I think it's a perfect fit. I mean, the fact that you're one of the other guys in the space that's one of my best clients there, same kind of thing. He's the owner, actually did like car sales and all that stuff, and we've done by far the best with him. So, I mean, based on what you told me, I think it's a perfect fit. So let me do this. Like I said, we offer a guaranteed service where if we don't deliver you the leads, then you don't pay. Only company in the world in the Neograph space, hair transplant space that does that. So let me do this. Let me research your area. I'll look at it myself personally. I'll have my guys look at it. We'll see kind of what we think the volume we can get from there, and then we'll build out a plan so we get you those four extra Neograph cases per month from our program, and then we'll take it from there. If I don't think it's a fit, I'll let you know that too, as to not waste your time. But when's a good time for you to chat tomorrow?
Let's see, tomorrow. I don't know. I've got to close on a piece of property tomorrow, business property that I'm buying. I don't know what time that is yet. I think it's going to be like around 11 or so, Central Time. I see you're in Massachusetts, is that right? Let's say 1 o'clock tomorrow. Send me an e-bike for it. For 1 o'clock tomorrow, I'll put it in my phone and we'll talk again then.
And that's 1 o'clock
Central Time.
your time. Central. Okay.
Is that cool?
1 o'clock. Yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome.
That's 9 a.m. us here, which is I got open. Cool.
Sounds great. Well, we'll talk to you tomorrow at 1.
All right, Greg. It was great to meet you, and all I ask is, we'll map everything out, and all I ask, I put it together a plan that makes sense, that we move forward and implement it.
Sounds great to me.
All right, perfect, Greg. All right, I'll chat with you tomorrow. It was great meeting you.
Sounds great, man. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Mike, go ahead and break down the end of that call because it's really good.
Yeah, so a lot of things going on there. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm closing, and then I'm always finding a reason based off what they said, why they're a fit, if they are a fit. So like, I really like the fact that, he's like, I'm a marketer. One of my best clients like ever. He was a car salesman that ran multiple car franchises and really knew how to sell. So the fact that he said that, I kind of bring that up, make it personal to him. I think it's a perfect fit. But now you watch the takeaway, and the takeaway is, you know what? I don't know if I can help you yet. Let me check your area. Let me make sure. So again, it's kind of like I'm finding a concern, because he's almost like, hey, just I want to buy leads, right? So essentially, I'm pulling back there, saying, hey, and then I do my UVP, my unique value proposition, which is I'm the only guy that guarantees leads, right? So again, I've been, in our infamous pool session, I did a training on unique value proposition. I did a couple more, but like the key is maybe you guys will actually use it now that you see it being used in practice, which is
the answer to this question. If I'm your ideal prospect, why should I do business with you versus any of the other options? So I'm really answering that question and saying, hey, you know, I'm the only guy that does it. After that, I'm booking down a calendar. You actually don't hear a few parts because I edited it out, but I'm like sending him a calendar link. I'm double like checking the appointment time, all that stuff. I get his email address too, so I blurred out the sensitive details. I get his phone number, which I already had, but I make sure, hey, is this, because sometimes they book on my calendar with like the office number. I try to get their personal cell phone number so I can shoot them a text message before the next phone call. So I go for better contact details. Make sure that I can send him the calendar invite. That's why he said, hey, send me over the calendar invite, because what you didn't hear me do is grab his email address. And finally, what I do is I'm a big fan of Robert Cialdini's commitment and consistency. So I want to, it's a little cheeky, but I'm going for like micro commitment closes. And my last line, which I love, I say, hey, if the plan makes sense, we go ahead and we implement it. And he goes, yep. And then obviously that's just another little closing line. Like I want to keep dropping those. It's like take away and then drop those lines of him saying yes. So I don't know if you want to break it down, Dan, because you probably.
No, I mean, I just, to me, it just comes down to that patience, right? The patience of the takeaway, the patience of, fear. I mean, essentially I did this a lot when I was in the car business. I did this a lot because I got moved to a closer position for many years. And I think a lot of you guys that are in sales or have been in sales know this. There's a value to not being desperate for the money, right? Not needing it. I've told this story many times. It's like how I made myself not desperate when I first got started in that industry, which was I didn't cash any of my paychecks for like 2 or 3 cycles. So I was always 2 or 3 cycles ahead in money. I sacrificed up front because I saw all these different people that were in the same position of me as sales when I was just in the sales part of it. And they were desperate for money. They were waiting by the office every 2 weeks for their paycheck. And I'm like, that's making them really, really lousy in the closing booth because they need the sale so badly. They're basically going to say whatever they got to say to get it. So there's a value to having the patience and kind of playing a little bit of poker, not showing all your cards, because the guy still doesn't know if it's going to be a good fit because Mike is going to go look at the marketplace, right? I could see this technique. I don't know why I was taught to be a one-shot closer, but I do like this technique because it does create that level of authority on Mike's end when he's on the call with this prospect. And it's so different than the average probably salesperson, marketing company that's coming in and speaking with them who are trying to get a deal done right then and there. And you can just tell you can smell their desperation. You can feel that vibe coming from them. You don't feel that vibe coming. From Mike at all. Now the risk is, homeboy doesn't show up on the call tomorrow at whatever time he booked the call for. But that's a risk Mike was willing to take. And if you guys heard last Thursday's call, it's still it's all these calls you can access at a later date, but it's just in the stream here below in the Facebook group. You hear this same gentleman swipe the card for $3,000 for 40 guaranteed leads for Neograph, right? So I don't really need to go into it much more than that. I think it's really cool to kind of hear this 2-step process, even though we kind of did it out of order, is seeing Mike's email with that video, position him well. The guy even says, hey, that video told me basically everything I know. It's just financial, right? You guys haven't heard Mike talk any finances. Even though that was the first question that came up, he sideswiped it, kept moving along with his cause of what he's doing, his process of a 2-step call, and everything that he's outlined that he's showing you guys in these live streams. He's going to go into in more depth inside of his Facebook stuff that he's going to show you guys on Thursday. But you're seeing this in real time, and I think it's really good for people that have never been in this B2B marketplace. Because like when you're first getting started, and it's intimidating. I was intimidated. I told this story many times. I never even. The first appointment I had, I wouldn't get out of the truck. My brother went in, and I was too scared to go in. So you guys might think I'm all, high and mighty, but I went through the same exact stuff. So hearing things like this is so helpful to be able to model after, innovate upon. But understanding really the techniques of each step are really what you need to know. We need to clear those techniques so you understand each step of the way. And Mike goes into that a lot more in depth inside the stuff he's going to release to you guys on Thursday. So we'll cover that. But I think there is some questions. We can go maybe snag some of these questions from earlier because I don't want to miss people's questions. Let me just pull a couple of them up here, Mike.
Yeah, let's do some Q&A.
Yeah, so let's go. Hang on. I'll pull this one. I just saw it here.
And James said, I can't believe how much you didn't say. I got to learn to shut my mouth.
Yeah, right. Oh, we were listening to some sales calls last week, and one of the systems that we use, it actually shows the salesperson's talk time, and it was really interesting. In the call, this call didn't close. The salesman spoke 87% time to the prospect's 13%. And so it's definitely something that a lot of us need to understand is like talk less, listen more, because usually they'll do what this guy did. You know, they'll sell themselves if they actually have a real need. But I think what's fascinating about this as well is just how many you scrape 226 leads or 246 emails. You email this out. He intentionally marketed to these clients, and he's closing deals, right? So I think a lot of us can look at this process, and we should be doing the same thing. Never stop marketing. Never stop being in front of people, because you never know where you're going to run into someone like this gentleman who has an absolute need right now, has the money to spend it right now, and is willing to give a credit card over the phone from someone he's never met. But the process that Mike did is why this person's comfortable enough with Mike on the next call that we did on Thursday, where you can hear him close. He's comfortable enough. And even then, he was still a little bit not, but it shows where there's gaps in our marketing, you know, where some of us, you know, we're a little too amateur. And so seeing stuff like this, and I'm so glad you recorded these things for your own good, because now we're able to use them and train from them. I wish I would have done more of that as well. But it's just really, it's cool. You just don't see this stuff. And I know inside the stuff you're going to release Thursday, you have the sales where you biffed it. And we're going to break down sales that you didn't win. Because good.
Yeah, and you learn a lot from those too. Like I always recorded all my phone calls just so that I could go back and listen to it and see how I sounded here. And then I would read sales books, and I would, because like this is like I've always said, I've been on these lives now for coming on more often recently, but like you need two skills. You need to learn how to prospect. You need to learn how to sell. You get those down, those two break you free. Because I mean, if you guys aren't making the money that you want to be making, it has to be, what am I doing today that's going to get appointments on my calendar? And then what am I going to do to close those appointments on my calendar? That's it. Like, and then the service is what you deliver. Obviously, I'm going to cover that on Thursday by kind of how I'm delivering the leads, how I'm doing all that. But the numbers for my campaign, I'm going to read them to you. So initially when I started out, my goal was to sell 100 leads at $49 a lead for $4,900. And there were a bunch of deals that in this market I sold for $4,900, which you guys can listen to the recordings of those at a later date. But the total list size was 222. I'm taking the first 17 days. In the first 17 days, I booked 18 calls from this market. Now, I was doing other markets simultaneously at the same time, but this is just from the NeoGraph market. Out of those, I made 9 sales. I converted 50% on the phone, bringing in $60,450. And out of that, it was a total profit of $31,406.87, with an average profit per client of $3,489. And that was just in the first 77 days. And that did not count all the rebills and all of that. So I just kind of 77 was the number I chose, just to show you how quickly, if you have the skill set, you could hit a niche, follow in a process like this, and bring in money.
So I'm going to pull a couple of these questions, and you can kind of rapid fire, because these are.
So guys, that was the first part of the process. So you saw the email, you saw the education-based marketing video, you got a chance to listen to my audit call. He's now booked on the calendar for the next day. So in the next video, what I'm going to show you and what you guys are going to be able to listen to is that closing call, that 30 to 45 minute call where I actually pitch, deliver the price, handle objections, and all of that. So with that said, I will see you in the next video.